Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now and Trinidad Times Television. With me today is City Council candidate H.L. Bowman Jr. As I asked you earlier, real quick, H.L., what's the H.L. stand for?
Well, I'm actually a junior, so I was named after my grandfather. My grandfather went by Henry, my dad went by Leroy, and since I was born, I've been H.L.
Combination of both.
Yeah.
Okay. As I've explained to the other candidates, H.L., we're going to go through three different segments. The general, economic development, and then management. So we're going to start with the first questions, which is about your personal background. Tell me about where you were born, where you've lived, where you were educated, your spouse, name of children, number of grandchildren. That, for some of us, that may not apply.
Right.
So it's just, but I'm asking the same questions as everybody so that I'm fair.
First of all, I was born here in Trinidad. We lived here till I was 2 years old. My dad wanted to seek something better for us, who moved us to Golden, Colorado, where he worked for building the Eisenhower Tunnel, and then got on with Coors. I went to private schools. I went to Our Lady of Fatima all through grade school, which is a Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And then my freshman and sophomore year, I went to Mullen. And then the tuition shot up so darn high. My junior and senior year, I think it was like $5,800 a year, so I ended up going to Green Mountain my junior and senior year. After school, I went to a program that CSU had, which was Farrier Science, which is the study of horses, basically shoeing horses and just dealing with horses altogether, and followed that. I worked for King Soopers for 8 years. In my time at King Soopers, I worked as a union steward. So I know about fairness. I know about, treating people right and standing up for people. After that, I did construction. Also, I've been in the horse industry the whole time, which I still am. And that's what I do. And that's my background, basically. I moved back to Trinidad about 9 years ago. I've been back and forth. My grandma was from here, and my grandma was my world, so I was here 90% of the time anyways, regardless of whether I lived in Denver or not. But I've been back for about 9 years now, and I'm a current resident.
So you have some ties here with family going back.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say, of what I know, 5th or 6th generation.
Oh, okay.
We are Native American, so
Right.
A lot of that can't be traced, but a lot of my family is from this area.
Okay, excellent. Your past public involvement. Have you ever been elected, appointed, voluntary, or other positions held?
Well, as I said, I was a union steward for King Soopers, which is a volunteer position. And then
H.L., I'm a little bit concerned that your microphone is pointed right at you. Let's bring that down a little bit, folks. I don't want to waste. There we go. I don't want to lose a whole interview with it being right on your skin there. So that's okay.
Anyways, I was saying I was union steward for King Soopers, which is a voluntary position.
Right.
But in that position, you're there to represent workers, of the union, which I absolutely loved. It was neat to get a different perspective of management and workers working together to accomplish one goal, a business.
Right. Okay. But you have some family too that you said that work for the city also?
Yeah, I've got several family members that work for the city and county. They have for a while, and they love their jobs here at the city.
Okay, so in a way, then, in talking to them, maybe you're familiar with some of the situations in the city.
I am. Of course, I need to be way more educated, in this stuff. This is all new to me. So, I mean, I've taken on, a big burden. Well, not so much a burden, but a big understanding. Today, I got a budget report from the city, and I was totally amazed by it. I haven't even had time to go over it properly.
Right.
But it's like, wow. And just trying to take all this in and, trying to make an educated decision on stuff, needing the information that I need to make any decisions that I may have to make.
Right. And this is your first time running for office?
Correct.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. So this is one of the big questions. What is your reason for running?
You know, I love our town. We've got a beautiful town. I mean, how many places can you drive 5 minutes to be at a beautiful lake, or 10 minutes to be in the mountains? And, you know, we don't deal with traffic here. Being that I'm, you know, lived in Denver, it's such a relief to not have to deal with that kind of stuff. Um, the reason I'm running is I think that somewhere along the lines, wires have been crossed, and people don't understand what a public servant is. And a public servant is someone that serves the public. And I think that the communication barrier that our government has is ridiculous. I think that people need to be able to reach out to our government officials, you know, including city council, mayors, all of us. They need to be able to reach them, you know, and I've set up several things. I've got my email address, I've got my personal number, you know, along with a Facebook page and, you know, stuff like that. I want to be available for dialogue. I want to be available for communication. Um, I think that it's just somewhere along the line it's got messed up, and people don't understand that it's not about what my beliefs are. It's about that I'm going to go to bat for you, that I'm going to stand for what the people believe in, you know, and that's why I'm running.
Okay. All right. Well, excellent. So one of the biggest issues in this community has been for the last several years, and it's been a bit of controversy though, but what is your stance on marijuana?
You know, I've never smoked marijuana in my life. You know, it's not something that, you know, that I do. Is it wrong? That's not for me to judge. It's not. I see it as a big industry. I see that it's got positive things going on. Yes, there's things wrong with it, but I mean, what things aren't there things wrong with? It's
Right.
just we need to fine tune it. I think it's a great industry. I think that with it being a great industry, I think that there's things that, like I said, need to be refined or fixed. I don't have any objections to it. Like I said, it's not something that I personally do, but do I judge anybody for doing it? Absolutely not. To each
Right.
their own.
Right. Okay. This is going a little bit faster than I want. You're quick, but that's okay. So here's another big issue that we have in town, and actually this is, you know, not just in Trinidad, but it's worldwide. What should we do about the panhandlers and the homeless?
Well, I think one thing that needs to be addressed immediately on that is there's a difference. Um, I think that Trinidad is seeing a lot of career panhandlers, and I think that's different than being homeless. I think being homeless, in the sense of being homeless, is more of a choice. Or, I mean, excuse me, being homeless isn't a choice, but a career panhandler is a choice. Um, you know, walking around in, that's something that I didn't point out, but I've been walking neighborhoods talking to people. I'm running my election a different way. I want to meet people. I want them to know who I am. You're not going to see my signs anywhere, because I want you to vote for me because, hey, I met that guy. That guy understood me and he listened to me. He, you know, turned his ear to me and listened to what I have to say.
Right.
And that's the difference I want to make. But back to what we were talking about, panhandlers and homeless. There's got to be a change. You know, something that I thought of doing is there's a town in Connecticut, I think it is, and I was trying to research that last night and I didn't get to it, but I'm going to get to it. The city mandated or made an ordinance that if you give money, you've got to pull over, get out of your car, and actually walk to that corner and give money to those people. You know, which is, you know, alleviated the problem there.
Right.
Because people are afraid, you know, and walking, you know, talking to people, you know, from town. It's crazy that people have made adjustments to their lifestyle because of the problem we have here. I talked to a lady has 2 kids. I think one is 3 and one is infant. Her husband's a teacher in Aguilar. She used to go shopping when he would get home at night at Safeway. She's uncomfortable to go there anymore.
Right.
So she's trying to will both of her kids around in the morning to go shopping because she's afraid to shop at Safeway. You know, that's not okay. It's not okay to infringe on other people's rights. You know, I mean, I understand they have a problem and a need, but that doesn't mean that other people have to suffer for that. Say I'm in a hurry to get to Safeway or the hospital or whatever it is, and you feel, needy, to give to one of these people, and you're sitting at a stop sign talking to them and giving them money. That's not fair to infringe on that person behind you. I'm compassionate in the aspect of they need help. I agree 100%. But I don't think it's the government's place to do that. I mean, there's nonprofits. I mean, let's donate to our churches. When I first came here when I was a kid, I remember people talking about going to the Catholic Church to get vouchers for food, vouchers for a hotel, vouchers for a bus ticket. And the churches don't have the same capabilities anymore because people aren't donating to them. And maybe we need to find a nonprofit that we could donate to help these people where they are held accountable. Hey, here's a voucher for a meal ticket. Where's your driver's license? You get 15 meals a year or whatever it is, or a month, excuse me, or a week, whatever, But there's got to be some sort of accountability. I mean, I know a lady that, does bags, for these people that are needy. And I walk the river walk, and I've saw 3 or 4 of these bags just thrown on the ground. And it makes me sick to my stomach that this woman would take the time to do something like that. And these people are just, throwing her, compassion and time just on the ground. So, I mean, it's hard because, there's, 0.5% of homeless, in comparison to, a whole community.
Right.
But it's still a problem, and we've got to address it. But it's something of major concern. People don't need to be afraid to go to the grocery store. People don't need to be waiting at a stop sign because you want to give money to somebody. Maybe you're in a hurry for whatever reason, and that's not for me to judge.
I was at a county commission meeting, and a couple of gentlemen that live out in Model, that's where some of the people that with the signs live, are squatting. And then these gentlemen called the sheriff's department, and they end up getting arrested. So it's caused some real consternation for people. It's a sticky issue, and I know that it's not just a Trinidad issue. Some people have traveled internationally have said, I think it was Anthony, came out of the Vatican, and they were right there with their hands thrust out. So I've posed this question for all the candidates, knowing that there isn't an easy answer.
Right.
But you clearly have thought about it, and
right.
that's
Well, and it's sad. It's sad because you know what? We're all one decision from being there.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and it's sad. If you are in that much need. Yeah. And I hope that someone wouldn't turn their back on me if I was in that position. Yeah. But I hope that, if I was in that position, that I would be able to try and at least get out there and do something else, work for it, or do some sort of, barter system to, pay that back.
Right. H.O., before we move on with the last question, because we're moving a little bit faster, and I don't want anybody to think I was short or anything like that. You're just quick, with your answers, and that's okay. That's a good thing. But just reviewing on your personal background or past public involvement or your reason for running or your stance on marijuana, is there anything that you want to bring back up? Because I don't want to cut you off before we move on.
Well, most of all, I think people need to know that my main reason for running is so that people have a voice again, so that they can call me and say, HL, I don't have time to go to this meeting, and I don't want to sit there, and have to voice this opinion. I want you to know how I feel about it. And I want people to have that open communication with me so that when I do vote, I know that I'm not voting from my own personal beliefs. I'm voting for what I'm there for, to be a public servant. Okay. And it's hard, to put that aside because we all have our own personal beliefs, but that's not what a public servant is,
Well, excellent. All right, so the last question before we take a short break is, how much time will you devote if you're elected to city council?
First of all, I know that there's going to be a major time thing initially. Right now, and I didn't touch on this, I've got a brand new baby in the home. He's just turned 6 months old on the 18th of September, okay. So he was born in March. He was not born from me. He is a product of our society, unfortunately. His mother was on drugs when he was conceived, and the baby got taken away. Trinidad has a very bad problem with drugs, and I'm living it. You know,
Right.
I've got this baby at my house, and the mom and dad have, you know, are done with their rights with this baby. We're moving forward. I'm adopting this baby. He's mine. He's my son.
Right.
But it's a big problem here. It's huge, and I think that it needs to be addressed. You know, and when I say it needs to be addressed, not just community-wise, but with our police officers. And the thing is that's a big thing with me. I mean, I have a problem with saying, you know, Mr. Police Officer, you need to go arrest that guy, you know, when you're making $12 an hour.
Right.
And I mean, you're making $2 more than the sandwich guy down there or the guy at McDonald's. Right. And not that your life is any more or less important, but the thing is I'm putting you in harm's way, and I'm going to pay you $2 more than the guy at McDonald's who's not in harm's way.
Right.
And I
But the question is, though, how much time will you devote to city council?
tons.
Tons?
I have to.
Okay.
Because I have to be educated in it. I have to learn of these things, you know, that I don't know about. You know, like I said, I got that budget report today. You know, I'm going to probably have to sit on that 2-3 hours just to even understand it.
Right.
So I want to devote as much time as I can to understanding what I'm doing and the issues that are at hand. You know, I have to be educated in it to make a decision.
Okay. Well, HL, we're going to take a short break here, and then we'll come back for the second segment. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on Trinidad Times Television. We'll be right back. Thank you. Not bad.